Welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I'd just do a little quick video going through my labour and delivery with Orion. I kind of wish I did it with Harper so I could look back at, but I didn't. I don't know, maybe I could do one now, but I just thought I'd do Orion because I only had him only 12 weeks ago. So with my pregnancy with Orion, I had gestational diabetes, I was insulin resistant, and I had to take shots of insulin every night. So with Harper, I had excess fluid as well as low platelets. They can both cause issues for the baby as well as the mother. So that made me high risk with my second pregnancy. They had to keep an eye out on that. My platelets were low, but they were stable, which was nice. So yes, they decided to induce me at 38 weeks. I went in on a Sunday. So I went to the hospital at about 3 o'clock and they did some monitoring for about an hour, which was actually quite quick. Orion was behaving. Usually he's like kicking the monitor and all that, but it was good. And then they inserted the Cervidil, and like quite early on I started getting cramps straight away. They thought it was just like the Cervidil working and doing its thing. That's what they were saying. So I was like, okay. And I had some cramping, like it started to like get quite intense. So I had to take some pain relief, which was just some Panadol at first. And then Luke stayed with me for a few hours. So during my induction, I stayed in the room for a few hours. There was another lady getting induced as well. Sometimes when they do the inductions, they'll send you home and get you to come back in the morning. And if that happens and you're the only one staying the night, you stay in the induction room. If not, you all get wheeled to the same room and you share a room. Obviously you have like the curtains, but yeah, that's what they do. So I just had to wait to find out if the lady next to me was going to be staying for her induction or going home and coming back later. She ended up staying, so I went to a room, and by then there was actually 2 other women in there. So I had a lot of heat bags. I had really bad back pain, which I had with my first as well, and lots of cramping. I had to have some endone, and I didn't have a sleeping pill. I was going to, but then I decided not to, and I kind of was like sleeping on and off. Like it'd start to ease, so I'd fall asleep and then I would wake up not long after, and I kept going to the toilet and I kept getting paranoid that the Cervidil was like coming out and not working, even though I was going through all this pain. And then the midwife came and checked, and she said that it is still fine. She pushed in a little bit more just in case, because it seemed like it came out a little bit because you have a little tail. And she said, well, you've had the Cervidil in at 4 o'clock. Usually they leave it in for 12 hours and then they take it out and they try to break your waters if your membrane's viable to be ruptured or not. But obviously being 4 o'clock, it's kind of hard for your husband or your partner to come in at that time of the night, or morning should I say, and there's not very many doctors if anything happens. So they decided they would just leave it in and leave me in bed and let me sleep a bit longer and then take me to the delivery room in the morning. So the morning came and I don't think I went back to sleep, or I might have just for like half an hour or something like that, not very much. And the same nurse came in and she took me to my delivery room. So this was about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I was still having lots of pain, and the midwife said, well, why don't you go to the toilet and we'll take out the Cervidil, so you can kind of stop the cramping and kind of ease, and you can just have a bit of a rest before like the big thing starts. So I was like, yeah, cool, no worries. So they took the Cervidil out, and then like they did the monitoring just to make sure Bub's going all right, and he was, and the pain was just continued, like it didn't stop. And then she's like, oh, it's just really must be like working. My partner came and they decided to break my waters. It was viable to rupture, so they broke that, and then it just like I had to have gas during it being broken because it was just too much pain for me. And then because my cervix was still really high up, so they didn't really think much was going to happen. They hadn't had any of my paperwork done, like nothing. Like they were just kind of like really chilled about like, yeah, it's going to take for ages. So yeah, had my water broken, my partner was there, and then the pain was just getting even more and more, and I was like full on using the gas like non-stop, like it was that much pain. And my partner's like, maybe you should like stop using the gas so much, because if this is going to take quite a long time. You're going to be on the gas for a while, and like it might not work when like the real pain happens. And I'm like, I'm telling you, the real pain is happening right now. I don't know how I'm going to do this again, even though it was the second time. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like the pain is so intense. And I'm like, I was joking around to like the midwife because I was like on the gas. I was like a bit out of it. And I was joking around like, man, I don't know how these women have babies without an epidural. Like that's just insane. How do they do that? And like I was like going through the pain and like trying not to use the gas, but it was just, I had to use it constantly. My partner went out to use the toilet because he's like, I don't want to use the toilet if you might need to go all of a sudden. Like you might want to take your monitoring off and go to the toilet or use the shower, or a nurse might need to use it or something. So I'll just quickly duck out and have a breather and go to the toilet. So I was like, yeah, no worries. And then the pain was still happening, so they decided to put me on an exercise ball and like see if I can kind of like, you know, exercise ball the pain away. And I never used it before, like I didn't use it with my first, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll try that. So I'm sitting on it bouncing, and then like I just had the urge to like stand up, and I'm like standing, like bending over the bed type thing, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to go to the toilet. And they're like, what? And I'm like, oh, I'm telling you, I need to go to the toilet, I need to do a poo. And they're like, no, you need to push. And I'm like, no, I need to go to the toilet, what do you mean? And like I was like panicking obviously. And then they're like, you need to get on the, you need to start pushing. So like I'm standing there and like push, and like all this blood came out. And then I'm like, well, like, oh my god, the baby's coming. So then they put me on the bed, and then I started pushing. I didn't even have stirrups, like I was just laying on the bed like pushing. And then they're like, the nurses, like one of the nurses was like freaking out, like trying to get Luke, like goes running out, and then like you have to ring the buzzer to come back in. He's doing that, and then the nurse is like, that's me, his partner, just let him in, she's having the baby. So they rush him in, and he's like, what the hell? And like, so he grabs my hand, and I'm pushing, and like I think it was only like 10 or 15 minutes, and like the pushing was done, like the bump was here and on my chest, and it was just so quick and just like crazy, because my firstborn, that took like 12 hours and 2 hours pushing. So like we thought we were going to be there for a long time, and like the nurses didn't even do the paperwork or anything. And then just next minute the baby's here. The full like from contractions, like from like labor, from water being broke to pushing to the placenta being birthed, it took an hour and 28 minutes to be exact. Yeah, so it was super quick, like less time than my pushing with my firstborn. So it was just like so surreal, and it was like such a shock. So like by 11 o'clock I had my baby. With Harper it was like just before 10 o'clock, so 9:40 I had her. So it was like, wow, I've already had my baby. So that was insane, and he was healthy. I had him on my chest and did not tummy time, I did skin to skin, and then my partner got to do skin to skin, and I breastfed him, stayed in the room for a little while. I didn't have any tearing. I didn't have to have an episotomy, I don't know what it's called when they cut you. No tearing, no tearing, no cutting, none of that. So I was really lucky, especially like it happening so quick for my body, like not to get ready. Usually if it's too long or if it's too quick, your body is not ready. So they say you tear, but with neither I did, which was, I was so lucky compared to some women. And I had no pain after. I didn't have any Panadol or nothing. Like I was fine. It was only for like probably a couple of days after I needed a little bit of Panadol, just because of breastfeeding. It would bring on the contractions again, so I'd need a bit of Panadol for that here and there. But I was fine. I was like up and walking around, having a shower by myself. Like I was like ready to go home and be home with Harper. So yeah, that was my labour and delivery. Orion Allen Stone was born at 11:08. He weighed 3.7 kilos, and he was 51 centimeters long and 36 centimeters around his head. We went home the next day. Unfortunately, he had a little bit of jaundice, but it wasn't needing treatment. It just had to be flushed out with breast milks and top up with formula. So we got to stay home and just had the midwives come out and check the blood and all that. But yeah, that's my labour and delivery story. If you'd like me to talk about Harper's labour and delivery, let me know. Or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Hopefully you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Mwah!